Today I'm riding with the Summit Freewheelers, and I don't think that this is like a named group ride that they do. I just happened to see them. Some of the guys I follow on Strava doing it on a Thursday. I asked to join, and they dropped me immediately, right out of the driveway. No, they're. I think they're just having a little bit of fun with it as I was turning on my computer. If somebody from out of town comes into one of our group rides, we're gonna have a little bit of fun with them, and I feel like that they had a little bit of fun having me there this Thursday. It was a good time. I really appreciate them inviting me out. I really appreciated the hospitality and the tour through the nice neighborhoods. These aren't roads that I get to see very often, so in fact, on a bike, even in a car, some of these roads I've never seen before in my life. This is over on like the east side of Cleveland, Ohio, so I think it's about an hour drive for me from where I live. And Cleveland takes a little bit longer to bloom than where I live. We're just a little bit warmer, we're a little bit further away from the lake, so we're almost in full bloom where I live. You'll start seeing that in some of my group videos where the grass is a super bright green in this video, but the trees are still a little bit lackluster there. So for this group ride, I almost didn't make it, and I had all day to prepare for it, all day to plan for it, and for whatever reason I just started mismanaging time as it got time to get into the car and go. And I feel really bad for that. I guess I want to apologize on video to Ron, to Javi, to Tom, because I'm on my way out the door and I hop in the car, and I had a couple of personal things going on at the moment, and as I'm driving that way, it's like my car's completely empty on gas. It's not going to make the Cleveland round trip. I'm gonna have to stop and get gas. And as I'm thinking that, start thinking what else I might have also forgotten. And as you see the overlay on the bottom left hand corner of the screen, which is going to be the star of the show today, I forgot my computer. I forgot my GoPro batteries, so there would be no video and there would be no overlay. And I realized that a good 10 minutes into my drive, so I had to turn around and go back. And on my drive back towards Cleveland, my ETA was after the ride would start. So luckily some traffic broke up and I was able to make it just on time. And I had to use the facility. I had to get ready, and I got ready as fast as I could. So I don't really blame them for dropping me right out of the driveway there as I was trying to get my computer turned on, make sure it was screen recording, make sure that the GoPros were running. And so this stretch right here was a little weird for me, because in your own town, in your own group rides, like a sidewalk like this, you would know the bumps, you would know the holes. And I fast forwarded this so it looks even sketchier than it did in real life. But it also just rained. As I was about to say, on the drive up there, I saw some black clouds and some lightning, and I'm like, this might have been a sign not to show up today. And I couldn't be happier that I just took all those signs: no gas, no computer, no GoPro, having to turn around, black clouds, storm clouds. I'm just glad that I decided, today's a push through day. Today's not an excuse day, because this is one of the best, things I feel like I've done. I love being out riding a bike. I love having to push myself, and these guys were super nice. Very, very good riders. I really want to thank Ron for pulling me around for an hour and a half. The hospitality you get from Javi and Tom is fantastic. I did meet some new riders too. I don't think I've ever met before. Didn't catch their names. I might have in the moment. Sorry if you're watching this. I will catch your name next time for sure. And I believe, now he knows I just skipped ahead there. So I fast forwarded the sidewalk section just because one, it was sketchy. Two, there wasn't much to see. I feel like this is about where the ride really started, as we chased down a couple guys that made the green light. We didn't. And it was pretty much anytime we weren't stopping or going through a small town, it was pretty much hammered down. The point of this video really was to you know, I'm not giving away any race strategies or race techniques here. I don't think that group rides are really going to give you a big tell on what you're going to deal with on race day with anybody. I hope that I don't expose anything that nobody wants to know about. These are my numbers. These aren't anybody else's numbers. And if you want to expose me and you want to use this to your advantage when you race against me, just know you don't get my computer's access during the race. So you might think I'm suffering, I might not be, and you might not think I'm suffering, I might be. So I don't mind giving away all this fun, but the fast forward I just did there where I skipped through, there's gonna be a lot of that in this video. Unfortunately, like where I live, big open roads, big long stretches of road without any stop signs, red lights. This is near a city. This is pretty well developed, and as scenic as this is, and serene as a lot of it is, I feel like even like right now with the sun kind of in the evening sky behind the riders and the rear view camera, like that's super picturesque. It's beautiful. It was a beautiful day. There's still a lot of stop signs. There's a lot of red lights. I ended up having to edit out like this right there. We made that turn onto a street. There's no editing needed there. We didn't have to come to a stop. We didn't have any traffic. We got to flow that turn. There were 30 or so of those that we didn't get to do. We had to come to a stop. We had to come to a light. And you know, I do want to tell the great people of the internet, especially, you never know who's watching, we stop at all stop signs. We stop at all red lights. I promise. Anyways, moving on. So it takes us a while to get to the first hill, and like I said, I think that hill climbing is one of the more exciting parts of cycling. And you go out and ride by yourself, you're probably not railing the hills unless it's a workout day. But in group rides, and every group ride is a little bit different. I'll tell you that our Wednesday night rides, we're trying to keep a group together, whether it's 8 guys or 20 guys or whatever. We're trying to keep it all together. So we take the hills what we call neutral. And what neutral is really the pooler's FTP. You don't want to push anybody, because not to say we have a similar watts per kilo FTP across the whole team, but probably within reason enough, especially with the draft, that if you're just kind of holding your FTP on a hill, that everybody else is going to stay together and we don't have to do the regroup. And the stronger riders will take advantage of a downhill, where if you want to go into zone 5, zone 6, or if you want to take a longer pool, you know, we'll do that, because you're not going to suffer as much on a downhill in the draft with somebody railing it off the front as you would on an uphill. Somebody's in zone 6 on an uphill, that draft ain't really helping you much. You're going to be in zone 6 as well. Where if somebody's on zone 6 on a downhill, you're probably still zone 2, zone 3. So we take all that into consideration, and we keep that as a very fast flowing ride we do on Wednesday nights. That's us. That's an us preference. I do other local rides, you know, just in here, and this isn't like a local mentality where we don't do that at all. So I got to say, I wasn't sure what to expect here. I don't even know if I'm chasing this guy. Like, you could see my rear camera there before it switched screens. I didn't know nobody else is on my wheel. I'm not constantly turning my head and looking around. I'm just trying to keep up with what I thought the group was doing. At no point in time did I ever actually know what anybody was doing. At no point in time did I know how long the hill was, how steep the hill was, when the hill was going to end. If you want to invite me out to your group ride, or if I just happen to show up, my goal is really survival. Keep everybody within sight at least. If there's guys in front of me, fine. If there's guys behind me, cool. The goal is just not to be the last guy. And, you know, I have no problem taking pools as well. I don't think I'm ever going to show up to anybody's out-of-town group ride and awe them with my ability and my strength. I think the goal is some camaraderie, some new sights, some new sounds. This right here, like I said, those black rain clouds, it did rain there before we got there. Thankfully, we had a beautiful ride. But these wet curves on roads I've never seen before, like, go ahead, guys. You know, hopefully I'll catch you. Hopefully you don't just leave me and dump me. But, and I mean, you see that I'm getting into my watts a little bit. I'm seeing, you know, out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing a lot of orange over there. And I remember the ride being a lot of orange, which means color code wise, I'm in my FTP essentially. Anything above orange means my heart rate's gonna go up pretty soon. And I'm just trying to reel back in the front guys. These guys have their segments out there. They knew what the wind was or whatever, and they're going for them. When I uploaded my ride, there was a lot of trophies that I got. Again, segments I've never seen before in my life. I don't know how I would compare to a KOM or whatever, but general rule of physics is if you go down, you must go up. So here we are now going up, and I am second guessing whether or not I might have spent too much on that downhill after the wet turns. These guys are railing it, and in my head right now I'm thinking, do I try to go get them without knowing where the hill ends? Do I try to go get them without knowing what happens after the hill? Or do I just hold my numbers? I've told you guys probably 1,000 times over, know your numbers, hold your numbers, know your numbers, hold your numbers. If I was to come back out to this group ride, I think I ignore my numbers as long as I remember the hill, as long as I remember the lay of the land. I think I ignore my numbers, and I think I do what they're doing, because their group ride, I think, was mostly, I don't know if you heard that or not, I just went to my front chain ring. Like, that's where I felt like it was steep and we were hammering, Again, I don't know where the end of the hill is. I'd imagine it's right about here. And there still might be more hill afterwards. I really have no idea. This is probably the thing I'm best at, and thank you for whoever you are there in the blue. If I caught your name, I'm sorry again. I draft. That's a me thing. I'm like, oh, okay, a draft. I need that. Thank you. and I took it. Again, I don't know what the game plan is. I don't know where the next stop sign is. I don't know where the actual top of the hill is. So I'm here to ride with these guys. Like I said, if I was to do this ride again, I think I'd have a little bit more fun with it. I think I'd do a little bit more of the playing around. But I feel like for content reasons, for these video reasons, I think it's gonna be a lot more fun for me just to show up for a group ride for the first time ever. And I'm not gonna explain why I just blacked out that that rear camera right there, but these guys are pulling away, and I'm gonna make all the cycling excuses in the world. I'm sticking to my numbers. I don't know where I'm at. I did a hard ride yesterday. I'm tired. But in reality, these guys were strong. I saw my friend Tim advertise this ride the week before, and in quotations said, "We go fast." And have I gone faster? Have I raced more? Or is my team strong? All those things, sure, of course, absolutely. But did he lie? No, there was no lies detected. Man, these guys did go fast. These guys went fast every chance they got. And you see our speed right now is over 40 mile an hour. Again, they had fun with it. When you watch my computer, I'm constantly in the watts. Actually, there's going to be a point in time, and it might be right now, my normalized power is around 300. And I think I end the ride with my normalized power somewhere around 285 or 290. And I can tell you that I've done some road races where that's happened. I would say the worst thing I've ever done was back-to-back crits when my bottom bracket had unscrewed, putting a lot of pressure on my crankset. And I had a pretty big gap that day between my actual power and my normalized power. I think my normalized power on the day was like 330. And that would have been, that felt like a near-death experience that whole race day. Where this, this didn't feel like a near-death experience at all. I will say that they got away from me on a few climbs. But this was a big gap between my normalized and my regular. My normalized ended up, like I said, upwards of 300, and my regular was maybe 220, 225. That's a pretty big gap, and that tells you if I had to pedal, I was pedaling. But if I didn't have to pedal, I wasn't. And I think one of the things that does that is a hillier terrain, where you can't pedal the downhills because you're coming to a stop sign or you don't know the area and you're taking it cautiously. Or like this, where we're going like real fast down the hill, 42, and we don't have to pedal, you know, because again, we're about to turn right. So this is how you get that big gap between your normalized and your actual power. Your normalized tells the story way more than the actual power does. So sometimes if you see somebody upload their ride, you know, like normally on Strava, it's not going to show normalized power. It's just going to show their average power. And you see, oh, that group ride averaged 20 mile an hour and 208 watts. Why would that be fast, you know? And you almost have to, like I said this earlier in a racing video that I did, the course decides your speed, not your power, not who shows up necessarily. The course is number one, then your power, then who shows up and those things, but course is number one. I got this sped up a little bit. Again, I'm doing about 150% on the speed ups. One, it makes, I mean, beautiful Ohio scenery right now, beautiful skies. That sun's behind the riders again. I hope that they're watching this on YouTube and they take a screenshot of this and this is their profile picture. This is something they send to their girlfriends and their aunts, like, look at how cool what I do is, you know? Because I know I would, you know, that sun behind you. So it's still a clear picture at 150%. We look a little ridiculous with the pedal strokes there because nobody's really pedaling 150 RPMs. But the unexciting parts, I had to limit down an hour and 40's worth of video to, I think I brought it down to about an hour 10, but I didn't skip any hills. I didn't speed up any hills because, like I said, the part of from what they told me, this is a hill workout group ride to regroup at the top of hills. And, you know, I already watched this video twice. And I was there, and it was just 2 days ago. And I don't particularly remember how every single hill went. I want to say there were 4 or 5 pretty good climbs on this ride. We'd already done one, and this is number 2. And I remember I kind of got boxed in there, and I did that to myself, trying to struggle for a draft. And, you know, this one I'm thinking to myself, you know, just keep up, just keep up, just keep up. And again, 400 or 500 watts. And I can tell you at home, unless I'm doing a planned workout, I'm not holding 400 or 500 watts up climbs. I'm just not doing that. Actually, normally, because like for like a race or something, like the Twin Sizzler is a great example. There's the hill, which is, oh God, the name of the road's eluding me too. I'm sorry about my age. I did ask them. I said, you know, make me feel a lot better with the way you guys are climbing and making me suffer if you guys are all younger than me. And, you know, Ron told me that a couple guys might be in their 20s. The rest of them are about 30s or whatever. And so, yeah, I'm in my 40s. So that's excuse number 7 on the day, if I'm not mistaken. But that's also why I can't remember things like people's names of roads. But I can tell you that that Twin Sizzler on the 4th of July out in Medina, I think it's Brainerd Road, Kennard maybe. There's a climb there and it's not crazy. It's maybe a mile long, like 3%. It has a couple steep pitches on it. Those guys, they'll take that at, you know, 800 to 1200 watts. And, you know, like when it gets hard, yeah, we'll hold 400 or 500 to peak over the top. And that's racing. Racing is really punchy on the climbs, and if it's not, if everybody's kind of gauging each other and looking around, you know, like wondering who's who and what's what. I've been to races where the uphills are 250 watts. So for me, this was completely different, and I loved it. I'd love to go back and ride with these guys again, because to sit there and hold 400 or 500 watts on these climbs is like a middle ground between a group ride, a normal ride, and the high end of a race. And it's not something I commonly do. I'm not sure that it's something anybody really commonly goes out and just hits their hills zone 5. Like really zone 6, zone 7 is racing, and You know, zone 2, zone 3 is casual riding, and zone 4, like I said, even on our Wednesday rides, that's what you pull at, you know, especially on a hill. So this was completely different territory for me, and I found it very enjoyable because it kind of put my heart rate in that 165 to 170 range where like I need more practice anyways. And you know, here we got another one, and takes a peek. Upper 300s. Again, I don't know where the end of this is. I don't know if there's more hill after the end of the top of this, but I'm trying my best to just manage myself to what these guys are doing, you know. And I'll say that, like, there didn't seem to be, especially Ron and Adam, it really didn't seem to be an end in sight for how many hills they can climb at 400 or 500 watts. I thought it was super cool. I did like the area. I do a park ride, and I ride in Mill Creek Park quite often, where you know, the hills there are more what some people describe as, you know, skateboard ramps. They're really short and sweet, 10-11% for not even a quarter mile, and there's a bunch of them, so it's really cool. And there's a lot of stop signs, same thing, there's a lot of lights, interchanging roads. You come out of the park, you go back into the park, you come. So like, it's really hard to manage speed through there unless you're on a day where it's just quiet, there's low traffic, and you're hammering the watts. Even like me and my one teammate went through there once, and we averaged right around 23 mile an hour, and our normalized for both of us were over 300. My regular watts were probably upper 2s, and that's hard to do in that park. Well, kind of the same thing with this ride, except just a little bit more straightaways, a little bit less stop and go. So I kind of liked it. It was almost like an adult version, like an open road version of the park I ride in. Again, it was very wooded, as you can see. It's very scenic. The sun made for a very picturesque ride the whole time. The only downside I would say is you see how green the grass is. You probably saw a few trees here and there that are starting to bloom, especially the low-lying ones, especially the decorative ones. But the big trees out there were not budding yet. Where, like I said, the big trees here are budded. They're turning green. Some of them are even getting leaves. And it's still a little early in the season for that, even for us. But I'm glad to have it, and I'm glad to have the greenery. I'd be willing to bet if I wait a few weeks and go back and do this ride, everything's green. The birds will be chirping. The bugs will be on our visors. And I feel like it would be a really, really good GoPro ride, and I feel like it would be, you know, even a better workout the second time around, knowing the hills. I'm going to just kind of be quiet here for a minute. I might even cut myself out of the video and just watch basically until the next hill. I don't have a whole bunch more stuff to really touch on here. I feel bad because there's, you know, 8 other guys on this group ride, and I only knew about 4 or 5 names, so I can't give the other guys the credit that they're due. I can tell you that the dude there in the orange, he fought for every hill. He was up front a lot. He wasn't getting left, and he wasn't, he wasn't in the draft a whole lot. Like he put in his work. I didn't catch his name. The guys behind us, I did hear them talking quite a bit, and I talked quite a bit here and there too. So not everybody was just there to hammer. So it was a group ride at times. This was a super cool road. I remember this one. It was really scenic. So I'm gonna let you guys enjoy the scenery, and I'll probably pop back in once we get to another hill. Alright, so we're coming up on what was, in my opinion, the longest, maybe the worst climb of the day. And for anybody who's, rode with me on Wednesdays, we definitely have some gnarly hills down there. We're a lot closer to Appalachia, where we ride. Anybody who's gone over to Pennsylvania obviously knows, what kind of climbs we have over there. And, I do travel quite a bit. I've traveled the whole country. I'm gonna at some point in time soon, I'm going to post my Colorado videos, my South Dakota videos. I haven't taken any videos of climbing Haleakala, but again, those long sustained climbs that are miles on end, especially those out west ones, they did a really good job of paving, solid 5 and 6% grades. Even Mount Lemmon was almost a 5% for 21 miles, and it stayed between 4 and 7%. It was mostly 5. It's almost like the engineering that went into those climbs on those roads were top notch. Not these are different because it never seems to have much of an end. They roll. You don't know where they start. You can't see the end. And again, like a 2% at 500 watts is still going to be harder than a 6% at 250 watts, because the watts are what makes it hard, not the percent grade. So even though this hill, in comparison to something you've rode or something I've rode, might not seem crazy, this was steep, and these guys were hammering. Again, they could be chasing a KOM for all I know. They could be chasing a personal best for all I know. Oh, what I don't know is, where does the climb end? Where does when do I get to stop suffering? And I could tell you, like, looking back at the Strava averages, it just doesn't seem like the number I'm looking at right here on this computer the whole time. So, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't know where they start or begin at. I didn't know what any of the segments particularly were. But this was a cool climb. I love the workout. I love the way the guys hammered up it. If I was to do it again, I would like to remember it and hammer it up it myself. Maybe not, all 4 or 5 climbs, but, 1 or 2 would be cool. This caught me off guard. That was not road. I feel like we just entered somebody's backyard. I don't know what this cut through is, but they seemed confident. They went through it, so I went through it, I can tell you that we get a little bit of a faster section here, and then we get I think I called that one the hardest climb of the day. That was the steepest climb. The next one we do, if I'm not mistaken, would be what I consider to be the hardest climb of the day. And I think that's coming up. I put it in my notes. I'm sorry, that's actually minute 43 of the video. In my notes that I've written down here, we're coming up on a red light here soon, and I actually lose my back camera afterwards. So they were nice enough to give me a minute. Sometimes my teammates aren't. They were nice enough to give me a minute to change out my GoPro batteries, because just so you know, if you're recording in this high of a resolution on a GoPro, those batteries are good for about an hour and a half. So they're not really good for a road race. I'm gonna have to think of a different camera solution for any road races. An hour and a half is not gonna cut it. A lot of Cat 1 road races, 2-3 hours. Some of them are almost century rides, and those can take 3.5 to 4 hours. That car was nice enough to stop for us, by the way. We didn't just cut them off. That just looked like that because we fast forwarded. But yeah, I lose my rear camera here in a minute after this next stop sign, or this next red light, or whatever it is, because when I was changing my GoPro batteries, my SIM card popped out. Actually, that's never happened to me before. I didn't lose it. It just opened. It just popped, and so I didn't have any rear footage of the rest of this ride, so it'll only be front camera only, which, like, I do like that kind of picture-in-picture perspective there, but I don't think it takes away from the video. Most importantly, the star of the show, the overlay of the computer, was on there. I'm not gonna fully speak my mind about this one. I had a Wahoo version 2 Bolt in my back pocket this whole ride, also screen recording, also connected to my sensors, because this computer, the new one, the Roam version 3, love its new features. I like everything it does. I like that it's on the Wahoo app now instead of the Wahoo Elements app. But as far as screen recordings go, I'm probably on a 5-star, probably giving it 1. It has been a complete and utter disappointment. Wahoo's You know, and I'd hate for them to fix it after I give them a bad review. But you know, in today's world in 411, and I would make maybe like a recant video if I had to, if they do situate it. But the right now the screen recording and the overlay and everything has been a complete disappointment, and it makes me sad because it's such a good computer otherwise, and they don't advertise its screen recording abilities. I've never seen it advertised anywhere. In fact, there's not much literature on it whatsoever on any of their ROMs. I believe we just had a truck tell us what a great job we were doing as he went past, and I'm gonna watch this when it's on YouTube and I can see, because like, so when you're in the video editing, it does what's called a shadow editing, where it's giving you like a shadow version of the videos. So what I'm watching right now will not be as clear as what you'll watch on YouTube later. So I'm gonna watch YouTube later. I'm gonna get that guy's license plate, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the comments. I will say he passed us at a safe distance. He did not do anything unsafe, but you know, he said something I didn't hear that was probably pretty rude. We're just going to assume he was telling us what a great job we were doing, how amazing we look. And he gave us one of those gestures that, you know, is just right below a thumbs down. And, you know, for that, you get your license plate posted. If he had done anything worse, you know, I'm turning that stuff in. Get your fine, get your license suspended. I'm going to tell you, if you are an asshole to cyclists, and you're an asshole to runners, and you're an asshole to pedestrians, I would imagine that you also feel that truck drivers are problematic because they own the road, because they're bigger. And I'm sure you have the same opinions of truck drivers as you do cyclists. To me, that just shows the world revolves around me mentality. I hate that kind of selfishness. I can't stand the thought that 10 seconds ruined your day. Again, this dude didn't do anything unsafe. We have plenty of unsafe drivers that do these things. He didn't do anything unsafe. I appreciated that, even though he was rude and he meant to be rude. Nobody cares about that part. You know, if it makes you feel better, if it makes your man part a little bit larger on the day, go for it. You know, whatever. You're not hurting anybody's feelings. But the unsafe acts, and that's what I'm speaking on right now, which he didn't do. The unsafe acts are the ones that are going to get you internet famous in all the wrong ways, and will get you turned into authorities. We didn't have anybody do an unsafe act on this ride. And I normally don't post the accidental ones. I had a FedEx truck cut me off once, and he apologized. That'll never find its way to the internet because it wasn't on purpose. He didn't see me, and that sucks. You don't ever want to get hit because somebody didn't see you. Those videos will be on the internet soon enough. And you don't even want to be mad about that, but you do want people to see. You don't ever want to be hit because you weren't seen. I've had some people, you know, like, they had to get past us. They were in a rush to get past us, to turn on the very next road, to turn down the very next driveway. Again, that didn't happen on this route. This is actually, even though you're in eastern Cleveland, you know, Javi did a great job of these roads where you can see we're not passing driveways constantly. Cycling can be super sketchy at times. I cut out a lot of the small town ride. We were mostly soft pedaling through the small towns and coasting anyways. But anywhere a car can turn in and out of becomes a hazard, and the more often you have those, the more hazardous the ride is. So if you have driveways every 100 feet, it might not be a not busy road, but every 100 feet there could be a car turning, not seeing you. You know, I've had cars back out of driveways right in front of me, not see me. And it's really just not a good time. I believe we're past the part in the video, it was about 4 minutes ago, where they attempted a rotating pace line. I don't know if you caught that or not, and I just wasn't strong enough to pull through. I'm going to tell you guys something. I love the rotating pace line. The rotating pace line can really build momentum, but it also gets really, really hard once it builds so much momentum to get back to the front. I even said this in a race once, which I got berated for. 350, 400 watts, I'm not going to continuously hold that to pull through, because if I'm constantly surging every 30 seconds up into those watt ranges, I would rather just get on the front for half a mile and just hold 400. At least I'm not surging. At least I can build up to it and hold it. And for a group ride going over 30 mile an hour, I told them I'm just not strong enough to get past, and that's reality. But my excuse on not having that strength is I don't want to do that to myself. And let me tell you, we're 43 minutes into this video, which means we're right around where the longest climb. And this one's no excuses for beginners. I know, and I'm going to take a peek at my computer real quick. I know that we only have 10 to 12 miles left of this ride, and at this point I'm pretty well assured there's probably only going to be one or two more hills. So for this particular hill, I could have, so I left a little bit more out there on this hill than I did on the previous ones. And like I was saying before, absolutely no excuses. This one I just get dropped. I don't think that they're even attacking this hill. I don't see anybody get out of saddle and start pushing side to side. I can just tell you my heart rate gets over 170, and I second guess whether or not I can hold that for much longer, and I give up. I go from what's around a constant 400 here to back down into the 200s, and let my heart rate come down. Just making sure, one, I had a problem about a week ago on a group ride where I was in the 170s for no reason. My numbers, my watts and my heart rate were not matching. What's normally like a Strava RE of 130 ended up being well into the 200s because of how elevated my heart rate was. And I ended up with a very mild cold for the next week. So, the heart rate was telling me that you got a virus, and it made me uncomfortable for seemingly no reason. But I was wondering if that was the case here today too, if I'm just not over the cold yet. So I did back out of the watts. Heart rate started coming back down, and that's a pretty good sign that, one, I wasn't overheating, two, the virus that I might have had wasn't really affecting me. Because anytime your heart rate can recover almost, especially instantaneously, you see I'm in the 170s now. If you let out of the watts and your heart rate starts coming down, you're fine, actually. The effort put my heart rate there. The inability to keep up with these guys was completely on me, and kudos to them. Also, the hill kind of leveled off a few times here too, where I thought maybe it was over, so I was pretty excited, and then it wasn't over. It was a long, steady climb, and it wasn't steep, and it wasn't like a mountain or anything like that. But the pace these guys took this climb at, put me in the hurt locker. And God, I would love to do it again, really. And some of those guys that are up the road right now, they've been on the front though. Like I said, I didn't take a pull, not a real one. So the watts that I ended up averaging at the end of this was all hill related and in the draft. I didn't bolster my own watts in any way. I didn't chase a single segment. Like I said, I didn't take a real pull. Those guys being up the road where they were at, that was completely earned. And at this point, I probably only have one or two guys behind me, and they're probably pretty close to my wheel. Like I said, we regroup at the top of the hills. Like I said, I did notice that my heart rate came down, so I did get back into the watts a little bit there, back into the orange, and then I'm like, ugh, I let back out of it because I don't know when this hill's gonna end, and then I remotivate myself. And, happy with my heart rate in the 160s, but what am I fighting for at this point? They're at the top of the hill. They turned, and we regroup. I really wanted this one. I really wanted to talk on this one. I really wanted to talk on that hill because they earned it. They really did. I did not. They did. And I won't concede any of the earlier hills where they might have attacked, where I didn't know where I was or where it ended. I'll make my excuses on those hills. This hill, I just got dropped. I got dropped by this many guys, all all 4 of them. So kudos to all 4 of them. I would love to come out and do it again. I need the practice. I love the practice. I'd love to get my teammates, 1 or 2 of them, out there with me too. Just because, you know, no 2 hills are the same, and no 2 group rides are the same. So until you experience it, it's maybe not humbling, you know, until you know. And I'll tell you that this guy here on the right, we sped it up again. We're not doing 40 mile an hour. The computer's not lying. We're at 150% again. But the guy there on the right, he dragged us around, like I said, for an hour and a half. Thank you and awesome for that. I'm not sure that we would have kept up the pace between hills had he not. Great group ride leader, great hospitality. I was really happy for that. I'm probably going to cut back out until we get to the brick road, because that was a cool climb. So I'm just going to sit there and babble as we climb that too. Just, you know, get back to, I'm sorry about the rear camera, but enjoy the beautiful Ohio skyline. I think that sometimes in Ohio on a sunny day we're second to none. All right, like I said, as promised, brick road coming back. This was super cool. The front guys, they stay in camera view the whole time. They do. Only a couple of guys this time really go up the road without me. I'm not gonna full admit being dropped on this one, because one, it's bricks, so you know, holding your watts and bike handling skills kind of start to overlap there as far as where your speed comes in. But also, it was just cool, and I kind of liked that. So I didn't want to focus on suffering while I was focusing on riding what was rather kind of salt covered. Just a cool brick uphill, and I'm glad we did it as an uphill and not a downhill, because a downhill would have been bumpy, like super bumpy. But this was a really cool climb. It was never really steep at any point in time. It was continuous, and it went on for a little while. I do want to circle back to the Wahoo thing, because I love this overlay. I love that it's showing me the watts, the speed, the elevation, the normalized, everything. I love this display. I love that it goes dark mode. I love that the riders behind me are constantly triggering my Garmin. When I said that the Wahoo Roam 3 has been a complete disappointment, it's because I screen record every ride, and I try to upload every ride to my laptop, and I don't even know that half of them are readable, and I don't know why that is. And I have turned that into Wahoo, and they've responded one time, you know, said, hey, did the update fix this? That's pretty much the only response I've gotten at this point. I would say that their customer service used to be a lot better. I'm not really sure if their customer service understands why it's doing that. I sent videos of what it's doing. I'm hoping that Wahoo gets it resolved. If Wahoo gets it resolved, I will sing their praises, because I want this to be the computer for my overlay. If in my future videos you see a different screen than that one, it's because this one didn't work and I carried a different computer in my back pocket. I have my kid's computer, my wife's computer, somebody's computer. And if you're really enjoying the brick road and the Ohio scenery, just go ahead and turn the volume down. I'm just mostly babbling at this point. You see, I did let out of the watts there a little bit. Mostly just because I'm really maybe not as eye of the tiger, Mamba mentality, Kobe, Jordan. I like to, I think I said this in an earlier video, for my 7, avid followers. I love competing. I love being out here just doing this. If these guys had left me, I still would have had an enjoyable day riding my bike in a place I've never been before. But I don't have the constant I need to win, I need to do the best. I don't have that going on inside me. And yeah, I'm gonna self-promote here a little bit on that. Is if you aren't one of my 7 to 12 watch every video type of friends and followers, and you happen to come across this and you manage to make it till minute 54 of this video out of the hour 10, and you're like, this is a cool brick road, and maybe this guy is giving me some knowledge that I need, and you actually turn the volume back up and stop tuning me out, invite me to your group ride, invite me to your race. I started filling up my calendar for regional stuff mostly, but I don't have a single group ride on the calendar. During the summer, every other week I do have free weekdays. So not saying that in 2026 I'll hop on a plane and come embarrass myself in Idaho, although pitch it, you never know. I would like to see more stuff. That's the type of cyclist I am, where I want to see. Here goes Tom. He kind of hung out behind me for most of the ride, and on the cobbles, on the bricks, he comes to life. He said to us after the ride, 5% is his sweet spot, and I think he's telling the truth. I raced with him at the Road Apple Roubaix, and he stayed on the lead group longer than I did, and then me and a teammate reeled him and Javi in, and we rode with them for a little while. It was a good time, and I chased after a rider I probably shouldn't have late in the race, and on the very next climb where I started cramping, again with the excuses, every cyclist needs them, he caught me on a hill, and as he went by, he's like, I don't know why I'm so good at climbing hills. And you got to give it to him, because late in rides and late in races, Tom does come to life, and I'd like to grow up to be like Tom and just keep riding long miles, long endurance, still racing. I love his enthusiasm. We come off the bricks, and the rest of the ride back at this point, I might not talk a whole bunch after I get done saying what I'm saying here. We go through Chagrin Falls again, which had some really cool waterfalls. We've had a ton of rain lately. So all of our creeks, all of our, I did the degenerate thing, I passed this car on the right. And they gave me space, so I think they were letting me. We'll never know. Well, I don't know who they were. But catch the friends. They were never that far up the road. They're not railing it. Their goal, no part of this ride was the goal to drop anybody. The goal was to work out itself. Again, they were cool the whole time. if they, watch this video and make fun of me behind closed doors, like this dude from Eastern Ohio sucks, he dropped him every hill, like that's fine because that happened. But they were nice to my face, and that's, ooh, I did not mean to kick that. Sorry. But yeah, as far as inviting me out to your group ride, I'm not showing up out of state to take your KOMs yet. I'm not showing up to be the best rider on your group ride. I'm showing up to see something different. I'm showing up to see something new, and to get your story out there, get your roads out there. There's no bad training. I'm well aware that what's posted on Strava doesn't tell the whole story, and I'd like to travel. I'd like to do these things, especially the weekday stuff. Starting off, this is my first group ride YouTube video for my page. This is the first one that's outside of my normal group rides. I've never done a group ride with these guys before. I've never rode these roads before. This was the experimental one. I can tell you this just makes me want to do all of them. Bonnie Park group, Gregory, if you're watching and you're watching this late in the video, I'm coming to see you soon, sir. Hopefully everybody that shows up that day doesn't mind being on video. These guys didn't seem to mind, and I'll probably have to ride with the Visit Pittsburgh guys soon and go ahead and torment myself on those Pittsburgh hills. Trying to think of what other groups, because you got to hit the local ones first, right? That makes the most sense. I actually haven't even posted a video of the Tuesday group ride that I do locally here at home in Mill Creek Park I was mentioning, so I do have to get a good video of that. I did do the group ride already this year. My screen record didn't work. I didn't bring a spare computer with me. I won't do that again. I won't make that mistake again. And it was a smaller group outing. There wasn't going to be much content from it. The weather flipped on us really quick, so we shortened the ride. But I'll get that group ride out there. I think that group ride makes a phenomenal video. I can't wait to do it. I'll explain it during that video. I don't have to explain it during this one. Like I said, the rest of this video is pretty much just Ron pulling us home. Awesome. Great. At this point, I had no problem taking a pull, aside from not having any clue where we were, and Ron was doing a great job, so that'll be my excuse, and I'll stick to it. I'll tell you that there's a couple bumps, rolling bumps on these roads. I don't think we do a real other climb, where Adam kind of attacks from the back. The other rider that we're still with attacks from the back. Catches me off guard. It's unexpected to me. I'll definitely throw some watts here and there on these little bumps to go get them afterwards. I never laid down a full sprint. I don't think I went above like 800 watts at any point in time on this ride. But it was fun, and like I said, if this was a weekly group ride I did, man, oh my god, I would love just chasing each other on the hills. That'd be so much fun. If I did this ride again, I'd hopefully be more ready, more prepared for what the hills have in store, or for what the attacks have in store. I'd like to go up and do it again. But in the meantime, I'd like to do your group ride. You tell me what you do. That's the other one, Manaway Nights. I'd like to do it tomorrow, but things don't always work out that way. I have another group ride lined up here next weekend. I'm pretty excited for. There's an attack I was mentioning. I'll tell you that if you don't know that they're coming and you don't know where you're at, all you could really do is go with who you can go with. So I'm gonna hop on a wheel. It's the same as if it was a race that I'd never been to before, because that's instinctually what you're gonna do. You're gonna hop on a wheel and get pulled back up there if you can, and if they don't get you there, at some point in time you gotta launch and just go for it yourself. We're coming to a stop sign, so this attack was already over. Again, we fast forward ahead. That's all from me. I'm gonna let the rest of the video just play itself out. I really enjoyed making this video. I really enjoyed riding with these guys. I don't know how open of an invite it is, just because it's not something that they advertised on Strava. It's not something that they're not meeting at like a neutral site, so I don't want to say too much or say like really advertise it. But I'll advertise these guys. I know that they do multiple group rides. I know there's a Tuesday group ride they do real hard. There's a Wednesday group ride they do real hard. So if you ever get the chance, go hang out at the Summit Freewheelers. Go hang out in Cleveland. And again, if you're from out of town and you happen to come across my videos, just, you know, tell us what you do. It's nothing to find it in the comments. I'm not hard to find on Strava. Just say something.